Hi and welcome to Unit 5. Great to have you back. For your orientation, Chapter 5 is going to be on process redesign. Before we get started with process redesign, let's quickly recap on last week's topic of process analysis. In the beginning of the session, we have talked about what the main elements of process analysis are. We then talked about the most common process analysis techniques and the technology available to analyze processes automatically. We also talked about which elements of the SAP Signavio transformation suite can support process analysis, and finally, some of the critical success factors of process analysis. All right, let's get started on one of the most creative parts of process management, process redesign. So far, we have discovered processes, analyzed weaknesses, and came up with ideas for improvement. Now is the time to bring these ideas to life. We have already prioritized our ideas for improvement, but in the redesign phase, we get to create the perfect world. Well, the perfect world within the boundaries and the trade-off of time, quality, cost, and flexibility, as we still find ourselves in the real world. We get to address as many process weaknesses as possible and create something new. We are asked to think out of the box and finally come up with a commonly agreed process which reflects the design of the best possible future state. When we redesign processes, we usually have to balance between four main priorities. Of course, we want to create a high-quality service or product. However, we need to keep costs as low as possible in as little time as possible, but might want to be flexible in the way we deliver a service or manufacture a product. Personalization has become a very common form of flexibility, for instance. Customers are willing to wait longer for their product just to have their names or initials embroidered, printed, or engraved. Depending on the type of product or service and the willingness of the customer to wait for it and pay a high price, our decision will vary. However, to make the right decision and set the right priorities, it is important to have this knowledge about the customers. Let's take a look at the different approaches of how a process can be changed. You will be surprised how many there are. One way to change a process is to change the order of the activities. We can do things faster, or we can automate process steps. Also, we can reduce complexity within a step, and we can standardize repetitive tasks. And sometimes it can even improve a process if we increase the level of flexibility. I told you there are many. We can also eliminate process steps or outsource them. We can combine process steps or run them in parallel. And finally, and this is the last one, we can start a process earlier or simply extend it. All these changes in process flow may lead to an improvement of process performance, which means we were either able to reduce costs or time, or we were able to increase quality or flexibility. Let me clarify a few terms for you, as we use them quite frequently, but still sometimes tend to confuse them. Business process automation, for instance, simply refers to the use of software or technology to automate predictive and repetitive business processes and functions to accomplish a defined goal of an organization. This can be in any area of an organization, which carries out tasks that are repetitive and follow a certain set of rules. Even customer-facing processes are being automated, which leads us to the next topic of robotic process automation. Robotic process automation is a primary component of business process automation. RPA tools and bots are integrated into systems to automate and simplify certain tasks and interactions. It describes software and bots that are programmed to copy human actions to complete repetitive tasks. RPA software robots can navigate systems, read and enter data, and perform a wide range of rule-based tasks. Artificial intelligence allows them to learn based on the data they are fed with, and they become more and more sophisticated over time. Two last terms I would quickly like to cover is workflow and workflow automation. A workflow itself can be completely manual. There's nothing technical to it. It can be defined as a sequence of connected activities or tasks that are completed to achieve a particular result, kind of like a process. A structured workflow follows a distinct path, which may be sequential or parallel to meet specific dependencies or requirements. So there's nothing technical to a workflow itself until it is being supported or completely performed by a system. We then call that workflow automation, and it can be defined as making the flow of tasks, documents, and information across work-related activities perform independently in accordance with defined business rules. It refers to specific tasks within an entire workflow. RPA, for instance, is one way to automate processes. Now, for the phase of process design, the following SAP Signavio suite solutions will be very supportive. The process manager to design the new process flow in a process model. The process collaboration hub to share, collaborate, and publish the new processes. The process explorer, including the collective knowledge of thousands of transformation projects delivered by SAP and our partner ecosystem. And of course, SAP Build Process Automation, SAP's no-code workflow automation solution. Okay, so let's summarize the important success factors of process redesign. Redesigning a process is the creative part of BPM, so force yourself to think out of the box. Balance and prioritize the critical criteria: cost, time, quality, and flexibility. Do invest in automation know-how and resources because it may create an unforeseen competitive advantage. Also, be inclusive when designing processes to meet everybody's needs. Now, what were the key takeaways of this unit? We talked about the elements of process redesign and its competitive performance dimensions. We looked at examples of process improvement approaches, quite a few, and we talked about which elements of the SAP Signavio Transformation Suite can support process redesign. We clarified on a few terms and the high-level concept of process automation. And finally, we covered the critical success factors of process redesign. We are at the end of this session 5. And again, I would like to thank you for joining this session, and I'm looking forward to welcoming you to our next unit on process implementation and change management. Take care.